Hello, today I'm going to be building 3 little kind of suburban apartments in Newcrest. First thing I want to say though before we really get into this video is that my main channel is linked in the description if you want to check that out. I post on there twice a week, every Tuesday and Saturday, and it's kind of just my day-to-day life. Okay, so let's jump in. I'm building this in the top left corner of Newcrest, like that neighborhood, and I'm building on the lot that's like the most left of it, the 30 by 20. Anyways, I wanted to kind of make this area more suburban. I'm still modeling Newcrest after kind of New York City. If you watched my last video, I built a couple brownstones in like a lower area of Newcrest. So yeah, I'm still modeling it after New York City. I kind of struggled with these builds. I got a lot of inspiration from like Queens and the Bronx and even like Hoboken, New Jersey. Because I got a lot of information from my mom. Because I didn't really know what buildings go here, because when I think about like different houses and stuff, I kind of think mostly in terms of Massachusetts, because that's where I live. And so for most of this video, the building on the left was very Massachusetts. It's a stacked triplex, which they definitely have those in places like Queens and whatever, but not in the same style that the ones in Massachusetts have. And I kind of modeled all 3 of these little houses or apartments off of literal houses on my street. Yeah, so like, I have seen a lot of houses like this where I live in Massachusetts, but obviously it's not very representative of like New York City. And when I was looking up, I don't know, New York City suburb, it's all very mansion-y, but I wanted this to be kind of slightly cheap and affordable houses that were turned into apartments. Because the reason why I decided to build these right now is I have 2 Sims that I want to move in here, actually, and they end up living on the left side of the middle house, which I will show you. But I was really struggling with the roof for this house, because I had a lot of inspo pictures, but obviously I wasn't building like direct exact copies, and I really struggle with roofs in this game, but it definitely turned out well. I just spent a lot of time on it. And yeah, this whole video is going to be kind of confusing because I start off by building these, and then I do the whole interior of one and go get the Sims and move them in and furnish their half of it, and then I go playtest a different building that I have, and then I come back and finish building these. And the reason why it worked that way is I was originally going to split these up into different videos, but I felt like it was all related to this lot, and I didn't want it to be a bunch of different videos of me speed building this lot. So unfortunately it is a little confusing. But I will start to explain kind of my reasoning behind this, I guess. So I have this Sim who you will actually see later in this video, not on purpose, she just showed up out of nowhere actually, but her name's Devin Scott, and she is an actor, and she's kind of a nepo baby because her mom, Portia Carmichael, is a model, and she's like estranged. It's a whole complicated thing that I'm not gonna get into in this video, but Portia, I was going through and doing some like lore and whatever with her, and so I wanted to take some like kind of modeling photo shoot pictures, but they felt kind of awkward when it was literally just her in the picture. So I got 2 Sims off the gallery and kind of changed some stuff about them to just kind of make them her like background models to make the photo shoots like feel more like full, I guess. And so then I just have these models, and so I just move them into a random apartment in San Myshuno. But then I thought, you know what? Why don't I move them out here in kind of the suburb of what I'm making New York City? And then I kind of got this idea off of Glee, where after like Rachel and Kurt and Santana graduate and Rachel's trying to be on Broadway and all this stuff, they all move in together in New York City, and they all work at the singing diner together, and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, the two models, their names are Haley Broughton and Lena Stark. They can live together here, as well as, like, go to fake, like, modeling school, I guess, and work in this little small business that I have, which I will talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I did get a mod that allows modeling to be like a career, so they go to that, and that ends at 4 p.m. So in my head, they would then go to work at the small business at like 5 p.m. in the evening, and then they also have a third job. They are freelance photographers because in my head, you know, they can make some money photographing each other. Now, I really struggled with the windows on this house. It kept looking like a monster to me, and I didn't like it. But eventually I made it work, and I like the outcome. Yeah, and I messed around with the basement a lot because the lot across the street from this is going to be a laundromat, so I didn't really want to have a basement because I don't really use basements for anything other than laundry in this game. And so I didn't want to have a basement, but the models needed a space to do like their photography, so I decided to have a basement, but then I didn't know whether it should be like a split basement or whether they should just get the whole basement, but then I was like, it doesn't make sense for two, like, identical apartment units for only one of them to have access to the basement. So I did decide to end up making a split basement, and for the unit on the right side, I'm pretty certain that the basement room, you'll eventually see when I get to the basement, but I am pretty certain that the basement room is going to be a bedroom for someone that lives in the basement, and I don't know who that is, because, again, I made 6 units here, and only one of them is actually going to be lived in right now. I also added 2 back doors, and then little stairs to the backyard. And then I'm pretty sure soon after I kind of do the interior layout, we're going to go to San Myshuno and get Lena and Haley. Yeah, so I decided I don't really want to talk about this very in-depth. All I'm going to say is that this is the house that I based off of my own house at home in Massachusetts, and the floor plan is relatively similar. I will say that my house is shorter but wider, and so this house is much more like, I don't know, long and skinny, so the floor plan is not exactly the same because I did have to accommodate for kind of a change in shape of the house. But yeah, I really like how these ended up turning out, which you will see at the end of the video. I will start talking about the little small business that they work at. It's, if you watched my last video, it's the building next door to the brownstones that we worked on that I said I wanted to make a video about. So that's owned by the Hargrove family, and it's very medieval. Whoa, I just had like a crazy voice crack. Oh my god, that was crazy. Oh my god, it's very medieval themed. And I wanted it to be a pizza shop because obviously in my head we're in New York, and so it's like, oh my god, New York pizza. Pizza didn't exist in medieval times, so the closest thing to pizza was were galettes, which obviously still exist today. Plenty of people eat galettes. So I decided to call it Galettes Galore, because I was like, oh, that's so fun, whatever. And it's these lesbians, and their 2 kids, and one of the lesbians, her name is June, her younger teenage brother. And so kind of the lore there is that the lesbians, June and Elena, got together, had their kids, whatever, and lived somewhere else. And their kids are Lacey and Jacob, and Lacey's a toddler and Jacob is an infant. Right now, really quick, we're going to change a couple of their outfits, and I will get back to the lore really quickly because I need to explain this. Some of their outfits aren't actually their style. It was just used for like modeling purposes, so I went back and changed some of them to be more their style. Haley is much more into kind of like athleisure, very casual, but still like, I don't know, like, you know, like kind of Lululemon sort of vibe, athletic, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. And the one I struggled with the most was actually Lena, because originally I had her dress like very kind of girly, but then in my head I was like, man, she's kind of more cozy than that. Also, June Hargrove has a very similar style. And another thing I was thinking about with this is that, you know, they're going through, like, quote-unquote modeling school, which obviously doesn't really exist, but they're going through that. They're not going to have a ton of money, so I want their outfits. Some of them obviously are for, like, photo shoots and whatever, but most of their outfits shouldn't be super nice because they're not going to have a lot of money. Also, I had to change her first everyday outfit because that's an exact outfit that June wears, except she wears pants instead of shorts. And so, I don't know, I just need to go back and change some stuff, but I feel like this also helped you kind of get to know their vibes more as I went and did this. But anyways, back to the Hargrove family. And so my plot, right, is that June's parents owned the brownstone with Galettes galore, and recently they got in some sort of accident. In my head it's like a car accident or something, but I haven't even made them. I haven't properly done any of the lore. This is just kind of like the story that I'm developing regarding them, so I don't know how I'm gonna decide that they died in-game. And so June and Elena, and then their two kids, Lacey and Jacob, moved back into the brownstone, and because they inherited it from their, well, June's parents, and are running the little small business now. And that's why Tristan, who is June's younger brother, he's a teenager, that's why he lives with them. So that's kind of the vibe there, and that also explains why June and Elena, who are two young adult Sims with young children, are able to, like, afford the brownstone that they're living in, because when I made them, I didn't have that plot originally, but then I was like, man, there's no way that they're living in this, you know? So then I made Tristan and kind of came up with this plot. But I don't have plot regarding Elena yet. Like, I don't know, like, she's, yes, June's wife, but I don't have, like, an idea of her backstory or whatever yet. But yeah, so I'm just finishing up here in Cass with Lena, and then we're gonna go through, and I didn't actually know this when I moved them, because I've never moved a sim in-game before, but really quickly I went through and, like, took stuff from their apartment that I wanted them to bring with them. I didn't know that there was a setting, and that the default setting was that they bring everything, so I do all this work here just to go out to Newcrest and get everything from the house anyways, which I wasn't planning on doing at all, but it actually kind of turned out okay, because the stuff in this apartment is really cheap, but I feel like this space is a much better space for the two of them, considering, like, budget and everything, because if you even think about it, that apartment in San Myshuno, I think it's like 19 Culpeper Place or whatever, Culpeper Street, I don't know, it's still quite big, to be honest, even though it's, like, the worst apartment in the game, or whatever, because it's got, like, the mouse holes and the pipes and the this and the that. It's, like, that's a one bedroom, there's plenty of room. They could both have double beds in one bedroom, and there still be space for dressers and wardrobes and everything in one room. Like, that's a little bit crazy. So then, moving them into here, I had to downsize a lot of stuff, so I had to buy them single beds, and I ended up selling a lot of their things. Like, also they couldn't even have a coffee table. You'll see that when I do the living room, but there just wasn't room for a coffee table in front of the TV stand. Stuff like that. So I just feel like, in a way, this is much more, like, realistic, and I really like the color of the carpet that I did. I do have to say, that's, like, the color of the carpet at my house, and this is based off my house, but the rest of the stuff is different. Yeah, and so the basement, I decided to make their little photo studio room, like I said earlier, because I did have that in their apartment in San Myshuno. And I didn't know where to put this desk, because originally this was in the photo studio in San Myshuno, and it's supposed to be, like, shared by the two of them, but there really just was not space for it. And so it ended up going in, I think, Haley's bedroom, which I'm sure obviously the two of them can share because they're both friends. And here I put up a bunch of pictures from a photo shoot that I did. I only ended up doing one photo shoot with the two of them. I am planning on doing more in the future, so again, you will be seeing more of them later. And one thing I really like is I feel like as I was doing this, because I decided to move them and whatever, I was getting more of a sense of like who they were, because now I'm decorating for their house and everything, rather than I just need some background models. Here they are, and in case I decide to do another photo shoot with Portia Carmichael, I'm just gonna move them into an apartment. You know, it's like, this is actually their space for them, rather than I'm just shoving them in an apartment, so that they're still, like, in my world and whatever. So I don't really have any ideas for lore and whatever. I don't really want to just have, like, random NPCs, which I guess even though I'm giving them an apartment and everything, they're still kind of random because I don't really have a sense of who they are as people. Like, I have their clothing style and whatever, but it's like, who are they? What do they like? Who's their family? Where'd they come from? I still don't have any ideas for that, so if people want to if you're interested, leave suggestions in the comments. I'd be totally open to hearing that, especially because I'm really bad at making Sims that aren't good people. I'm terrible at that, and I'm also a little bit bad at coming up with new storylines, because I am also bad, I don't know why I'm saying that so much in a row, but I don't know, it's just, I can't give my Sims flaws, and so, like, my Sims never go through divorces, they never have relationship issues. I just like everything to be perfect, and realistically in a save file, it really shouldn't be that way, so I'm totally open to suggestions and stuff. I was struggling with where to put the dining table because, like I said, it's very long and skinny in this apartment, and so it's kind of at an awkward position, but I had to do what I had to do, you know? Yeah. So I don't really know who they are yet, but I'm sure we will get there, and like I was saying, I don't want any random NPCs. Like, I want everything to be connected, everyone to have a family. There aren't just gonna be two random models, you know? Like, they're gonna have a family and a backstory and maybe siblings and parents, stuff like that. But now, I've pretty much fully furnished their places, at least for the time being. Obviously, when we go back and do more photo shoots and whatever and figure out their family situations, they might have, like, pictures of their family or whatever, stuff like that on the walls. But now I wanted to go and playtest the small business, because another reason I decided to have them be employees is because originally June Hargrove and Tristan Hargrove were the only employees, but they kept going up to their apartment to cook, and that really bothered me, because obviously they can go into the residential spaces. And so I wanted to hire people that weren't members of the family so that they couldn't go into the residential spaces to cook. Now, I set for them both to have the be friendly thing, and I ended up taking that off because that's all they would do. They would just talk to people, and it was very, very annoying. And yeah, I had Lena cook because she has a cooking skill, and so then I had Haley, like, clean and whatever, and then I had June do more kind of, like, managerial stuff, like fill the pet bowls. Oh, because I haven't even, like, said this. It's dog friendly, so it's kind of like how people have cat cafes. This is like a dog pizza restaurant. Yeah, and so then I was playtesting this because I don't know. So here's kind of the layout of the downstairs with the bathroom, and here's a little cute break room, and then we go upstairs, and this is kind of the entryway. I have some kids' toys, and then we have the laundry room, another bathroom, and then the living room with the kitchen and the dining room that's separated by a room divider. Now this is Elena and June's bedroom. This is Tristan's bedroom. As you can see, he's a skier. And then another bathroom with separate rooms for the shower and the bathtub. And then this is Lacey's room. She's very pretty princess. And right now, Jacob lives in there as well. But when Tristan ages up into a young adult, he's going to move out and Jacob's going to get his room. And then this is June Hargrove and kind of her outfits and her style. I wanted her and Elena's relationship to be kind of like, I don't know, femme for femme, so they're very cutesy, the both of them. I like them a lot. And then this is Tristan. Another thing, they do have money, clearly, because of the inheritance and stuff, so they can afford nice clothes. Yeah, Lacey, like I said, is very much pretty princess, and I like it a lot. This is their dog, Arthur. He's a greyhound, and right now he's an elder because he was the family dog, so he's low-key gonna die soon. Obviously, I'm not playing on a lifespan, but when I go through and age everyone up in the future, yeah, he will die. And they might get a new dog. They probably will, because it's like the dog cafe thing. But anyways, I'm just here like playtesting, and low-key stuff was being annoying and not really working. Also, one issue I had that I didn't end up finding a solution for is the fact that random Sims kept just going into my house. And the way I had set everything up, they shouldn't be able to, because I created a separate balcony for my Sims to use so that, like, it wasn't open to the public. You know, like the back stairs. Also, I don't know why the baby's out there, but also I tried locking the door for everyone except household people, and they just kept showing up. And when I would tell them to go home, you'll see it later, but they end up just vanishing. Like, they don't leave any certain way. They just vanish into thin air. So I don't know what that's about, but I do know that that's a common issue that people are having in terms of the game. So it's whatever. Also, infants are so glitched out, but here is Devin Scott, and again, her mom is the model that Lena and Haley have worked with. So, and she brought her little golden retriever puppy, Booger. Yeah, I don't know. I know people are also having issues since the update with like kid and toddler Sims having weird adult situations, like adult body proportions or makeup that they can't remove. And I don't know. See, I'm not fully educated on my townies. I don't know if Ariana Sands is a randomly generated sim that is just like in my save only, or if she's like a proper NPC or whatnot. But she's a child. I'll show her, I don't remember when, but she will be shown here, but clearly I'm struggling with the people being in my house. She's pregnant, I think. Like, I checked MC Command Center, and it doesn't say anything about that, and I'm not one of those freaks that gets, like, weird mods that allow for things like that to happen. I don't have that in my game. But she has the pregnant appearance. It's not like it's not fat because it's just her stomach, like how, like, I don't know. I know Sims, and I know what Sims look like when they're pregnant, and that's what she looks like. She's not, like, waddling or anything, and again, MC Command Center doesn't say she's pregnant, but she very clearly looks like she is. Really quickly, the issue I was having here was that no one was cooking anything, and I didn't know why that was, so I looked up some stuff, and I went and I got a mod, and so I'm coming back into the game now, and we're pretty much redoing everything. But I got a mod, and it's like the selectable Sims hub or whatever, so that I can add Lena and Haley into my household temporarily, like without doing the whole like add to your household. It's just the thing where you add them to your selectable Sims. And it's in the relationships panel, and so then you can select them and have them actually do tasks instead of relying on them to do them autonomously. And then when you're gonna close your small business, you just like clear their like queue of assignments, the thing on the left, you know, and then you remove them from your selectable players and everything's fine. So it's just like kind of a temporary solution, at least for the time being, until if they decide to fix the issue of your employees not doing anything until they do that. I did get a ton of error messages since I added this mod, but it wasn't actually doing anything. It was like an error from MC Command Center, I'm pretty sure, but like my game wasn't running any differently. So for now I'm gonna keep the mod because it's useful, but at the end of the day, if my small business doesn't really work right, it's not that big of a deal. Now, one thing I want to say as well is obviously the gameplay is sped up, which is not what I'm planning on usually doing when I'm doing gameplay. Obviously, I'm also not planning on doing a voiceover, but technically this video's much more of a speed build because it's about, like, those buildings and whatever, and we're gonna return to those buildings soon. But I just felt like playtesting this, and it also gave me an opportunity to kind of explain the restaurant and what I had going on. And again, I need cross-compatibility between this and the Dine Out pack, because I wish this was an actual restaurant where you could hire waiters and everything. But here's Ariana Sands, who's pregnant. Is she not? Like, that's a pregnant child. I don't know what's going on. Oh my god, I hate when my game is, like, glitched out and freaking out. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. But yeah, so this is, I do just want to say, not my usual idea for how gameplay is gonna go. I just did it in this video specifically because I was playtesting for a speed build. But now we're gonna watch this kid leave my house. So as you can see, he goes downstairs and disappears by the fireplace. Not to be seen outside, nothing, just vanishes. So again, I don't know what that problem is. And I don't know how to fix it, because with the way that I've set, like, the place up, I feel like it shouldn't be doing that. Also, another issue I ran into, and I don't know if I'm just, like, using the wrong display cases or whatnot, Lena keeps putting the food on the ground. She doesn't put it in the display case. I have to put it in the display case, and I don't know why that is, but I decided, like, it was working well enough, and so I unadded them for my household, and then we went back to the main lot to kind of do the floor plan of the other two houses. Oh my god. Like, I just feel like this video is so kind of complicated, but I just didn't want to split it up into, like, 3 different videos. You know, like, I just felt like we don't need 3 videos of this one lot and what I'm doing with it. Obviously, there will be more videos once I make people to move into this lot, but those aren't going to be happening for a while, and, like, the 3 videos I'm talking about would be, like, 3 videos in a row. Like, obviously, I'm not opposed to doing, like, 3 different videos about kind of one lot, but 3 in a row? Like, no, absolutely not. Yeah, so this house is just a house, and it has a pretty, like, open floor plan downstairs, and then 3 bedrooms. I have a master bedroom and then 2 smaller bedrooms, so obviously I'm thinking parents and 2 kids, probably. And then I made this space down here an office, because we just did not need a living room that big. Yeah, but I also just felt like this was, I think I actually just said this. What the frick? I just felt like this was a good way to introduce you to a couple sims that I already made. Which is pretty much what I'm planning on doing for a bunch more sims, because like I said in my last video, if you watched it, I'm planning on going back and redoing a lot of the stuff that I've already done, because since coming to the conclusion that this is a save file versus just, like, my sim family, because I just kept adding on to the point where it got insane, I want to go back and redo everything myself and make it a proper save file. So again, instead of, like, doing a long video introducing you to everything I've done, you will get videos like this where, for example, I've already made the Hargrove family and Galette's Galore and Lena and Haley and, I don't know, like, their stuff, but then it's like, oh, well, I want to move them over here into a house that I've made. So here they are, here's where they work, and then here's the family that they work for. You know, like, in making this a proper save file, it will also allow me to go back and kind of show you what I've already done, because I'm going to be moving them and stuff. Speaking of which, my next video is probably going to be taking one of the families that I already have and making a new house for them. I'm not sure which family I want to do. I have an idea. I'm not gonna say because you don't know them yet, but I do have an idea. I'm concerned about the building style because I haven't attempted to build anything like that yet, but, you know, I'll see how it goes, whatever. Yeah, and so then I had to go in here and make all of the units because I didn't do that originally, because they wouldn't be living in number 1, they would be living in number 4. So I saved assigning all of the units until now, which meant, stupidly, on my part, not on the game's part, because this actually makes sense, I had to go and then move them from 1 Fern Place to 4 Fern Place. And I also didn't realize this at the time, but I was running on their budget while building all of this stuff, so that's why I'm spending so much money, and in a second, I'm going to run out of money building these windows, and so that's when I move them, and I did use cheats. I used the motherload cheat to get them some more money, because they were, like, out, and then I finished building. Yeah, so I'm not against using cheats in my game, but I try to only use them with, like, people that I'm not really playing much, or for building purposes, because I know, obviously, I haven't, like, fully introduced you to all my families, but I do have main families, and so even though I'm, like, doing all of this stuff for Lena and Haley, they aren't at all, like, main Sims, so I don't really feel like it's cheating to, like, cheat their skills or cheat money, because I'm not spending time, like, playing with them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so, I don't know. I have plans. There are plans. And see, that's where I ran out and had to do that. Yeah. And during this process, I was sending, like, update photos to my mom, and I was like, hey, are these giving New York enough, or are these too Massachusetts? And she did tell me, pretty much at this point, that the one on the left is to Massachusetts, and so I had quit the game really quickly after I finished these windows, but then I did come back and change the last building really quickly. Like, it wasn't like shape issue or whatever, it was the fact that I was using side paneling, and also that the balconies were that big. And so in a second, actually, I will be showing that, but it's crazy how much changing side paneling to brick and making the balconies smaller has completely changed the building from being like a very Massachusetts building to a very New York building. Yeah, but that's pretty much the speed build here. Once again, if you have any ideas for like kind of lore and backstories regarding Lena and Haley, please leave those in the comments. Yeah, my next video, I think, will be redoing a house for a sim family that I've already made, which means that you will be getting a lot of lore on that, I think, and I don't know. Depends on which family I do, to be honest, but that's gonna be it from me. That's the end of this speed build. I really like how these turn out, and I'm excited to add families and stuff to them in the future. But, yeah. Okay. I will see you next week. Bye.